So today let's take a look at um, question 11 and section 2.1. So in this problem, you're asked to create a frequency distribution, and they give us some raw data. So I'm going to click here to view the data. So when you look at this data, you can see each of the individual measurements of screw lengths. So what we want to do is we want to group this. And then we want to see how many screws fall in each of these categories. They tell us to begin with a lower class limit of 3.97 and a class width of 0.01. So I'm just going to show you some quick StatCrunch right here. So let's go to click this little blue box and then open in StatCrunch. And what that's going to do is that's going to export the data. And I wonder if I can move my face. All right, here we go. So it's going to export the data. And so this is, in fact, the raw data. These are all the measurements of the screw lengths. One thing I think it's very important to do when you're using data is kind of make sure that everything is properly named. So instead of having variable 1, we'll just change that to screw length. If you see what I did, I just clicked here. And then once I clicked there, I was able to start typing in a new name. All right, so what do we do? All right, let's go to stat. And I think tables make sense. Let's click frequency and see what happens. All right, so you see how it says frequency, relative frequency, percent of total, cumulative frequency, cumulative relative frequency, so on and so forth. Those are pretty cool, right? So there's a bunch of different options. We're going to go with frequency and relative frequency. So you see where it says bin, numerical values? This is where we can actually tell StatCrunch what we want our classes to be, right? So let's see. Let's go back to the original problem real quick. What did it say? It said we want a lower class limit 3.97 and a class width of 0.01. So let's go ahead and enter that in our bins. So lower class limit at 3.97 and then a class width of 0.01. And let's hit compute. Oh, I did not select my column, so I have to click here and send this over here. All right, now let's try it. So this is pretty cool. This will say that the screw length, it breaks it down into the categories based on the starting point and the width that we gave StatCrunch. And this is the frequency. We haven't talked about relative frequency yet. But this is based on, how many 3 is of the total. What percent of the total is 3? And in this case, it's 0.1 or 10% of the total. So if you add these up, right, I guess it must be 30 if 3 is 10% of it. All right. Anyway, just one more note. So when we enter into our widths, so we have 3.97 inclusive to 3.98 non-inclusive. That's what these parentheses mean. That's called interval notation, right? But instead of 3.98, we're going to make this 3.979, just 1/1000th before 3.98. That's what StatCrunch will be looking for. All right, I think that's enough. Let's close out of here.